Welcome to the official podcast of the EMF Action Network. I am Mark Keither, your host and publisher of the EMF Action Network, and you are listening to podcast number 1. We have a very exciting show for you today. We are going to be talking with Liz Barris with the People's Initiative. But before we bring on our first guest, as this is our first show, I want to tell you about what this series of podcasts will be about. The EMF Action Network is an organization dedicated to providing discussion on topics concerning the overgrown spread of wireless technology in our lives and how it affects our well-being. Each show features different guests and is distributed primarily through podcasts on iTunes and YouTube. Each podcast presents different guests who present their point of view and stories concerning the exorbitant expansion of wireless technology in our culture. Topics include electromagnetic hypersensitivity, mobile or cellular phone dangers, Wi-Fi usage, smart meter concerns, cell tower hazards, health concerns on EMF or microwave radiation, and more. I am very excited to be able to host this show for you, and I look forward to meeting all the great people who are working so hard to bring attention to these very important issues. So without any further ado, let's move on to our featured guest today. And our guest today is Liz Barris. Liz is the leader of the People's Initiative based in California, and we're going to hear from her today about what exactly the People's Initiative is all about and how that relates to issues dealing with electromagnetic sensitivity and other electromagnetic issues. So Liz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thanks for doing this show, actually.
You bet. I'm just going to read what I found here about your mission statement on your website. It's that the People's Initiative Foundation is a nonprofit charity dedicated to educating the public on making change where there is stagnation in the areas that deeply affect us all, but have been overlooked by our government. So I guess what exactly does that mean, and how does that relate to EMF issues?
Yeah, well, actually the People's Initiative is just one group, one of my websites. I've got 4 websites, and each one sort of focuses on a different issue. When I first got into this, I just figured, oh, well, I'll just be a nonprofit, and I can do anything I want, and it'll be great. And boy, was I wrong. I really can't do much at all of the work that I do through that nonprofit. So I had to form a citizens lobbying group. Originally, American Association for Cell Phone Safety is my first citizens lobbying group because you cannot lobby through a nonprofit. And I had the wrong idea when I opened that nonprofit, but I'm glad I have it because we've actually brought lawsuits under the nonprofit on the EMF issue, and we're the fiscal sponsor, meaning other people can bring lawsuits through our nonprofit, as long as the lawsuit is in the benefit of the public good and not for individual private gain. So we sued, we were party to the Public Utilities Commission hearings, and we're the fiscal sponsor of a whole bunch of lawsuits on this issue. And so I do have a newsletter I send out under the nonprofit, and that newsletter I'm really it's kind of an obsession. I gather all the info I can on EMFs and send out one big fat newsletter every month. I used to do it once a week, but it's just I just take a couple days off and do it once a month now. And we did hire a lawyer recently through the nonprofit to get a hearing at LA County for the big federal cell tower rollout that was happening in the county here. And we worked with the firefighters union, and we were successful in actually blocking 150 federal cell towers that they were going to roll out in Los Angeles County.
Really, 150 of
them? Well,
them?
there were 234. We blocked 149 through these hearings and with the help of the firefighters union. And then the remaining 82 are in the domain of the city council. And so they're pretty much funded by the wireless industry, so it's really difficult to make headway there. But We did make headway with one councilman who's blocked them for his area, but we're now getting pushback. Even though he blocked it, they are pushing back and trying to put it in there anyway.
Okay.
So it takes a lot of organizing to block an entire area, and we went door to door, and flyered a whole bunch of cell tower areas that were about to get their cell tower. But I'm just torn in too many places. I have a multiple lawsuits going on now on this issue. I'm in post-production on a feature film on the issue, a documentary film, and I'm, electrosensitive myself. And so that makes everything, that compounds everything all the time. There's always, that in itself is a huge time sucker to deal with that, not to mention health.
I guess.
Go on.
Right. Yeah. I guess what comes to mind, with to me, having been, surrounded by this issue for over 5 years now, what comes to mind is, being able to, keep over 100 or 150 cell towers from going up. I guess, considering there's the 1996 Telecommunications Act, how do you get around that to stop the towers from going
up? Excellent question. This is a groundbreaking ruling. I don't believe we've ever in the history of the United States had something like this happen, where a whole entire governmental body stood up to the Telecom Act in unison, and in the face of the Telecom Act used cancer and health effects to block not one but 149 cell towers. So that was pretty groundbreaking. How do we do that? A few, first let's start with, grassroots. We raised, excuse the expression, holy hell over here. To quote one of the ex-fire captains, he wrote a letter and he said, thanks to the, I forget the word he used, but it was like an explosion over here of, there is no way that a cell tower is going up over here where we live in Topanga. And we had petitions going, we completely, we held a fundraiser, we raised money, we hired a lawyer, we did not take no for an answer. Homeland Security was used. Oh, you can't block it because of Homeland Security. Oh, you can't block it because we're exempt from all the CEQA laws, California.
What about the announcement a couple years ago? I guess it was even the last couple years by the World Health Organization, classifying wireless radiation as I think it's a Class 2B carcinogen. Did that have any effect on this?
Well, all of the studies did. In fact, the LA County Board of Supervisors, really much to their credit, they stood in the face of the health department. The head of the health department in LA County was working with the fire chief, okay, not the firefighters union, there's a difference. The fire chief and a couple of other, paid industry shills, and they said all the BS they could to the County Board of Supervisors, and the County Board of Supervisors said, we've seen this happen with tobacco, we're just not buying it. Basically, they said, we don't believe a word you're saying, and they said, we're ruling against you. It was like, it was incredible. We actually did have a huge turnout for this hearing. There must have been over 100 speaker cards filled out. We had citizens from all over the place, not just where I live, from all over, plus firefighters union. It was a big joint effort here with everybody,
Yeah, it sounds, as big as the smart meter issues have been with PG&E in California. It sounds at least as big as that has been.
Well, the smart meter issue is, this federal cell tower thing is very similar to the smart meter issue. It's all paid for with our tax dollars, and they have private industries benefiting from this big taxpayer giveaway, and they make it involuntary. So there's a lot of similarities between this federal cell tower rollout. The federal cell tower agency is called FirstNet, and they have local offices like LA RICS for Los Angeles, and where you're in Wisconsin, who knows what it's called there. But each area, they want their goal is every square inch of the United States to be saturated in microwave radiation. That's their goal. It has similarities to the smart meter rollout, that's for sure.
As someone who's observing, from Wisconsin, you can kind of see, I think, you see other trees, kind of taking, just the start of taking a lead in terms of, bringing focus on this issue. We have Sweden, who actually does recognize electrosensitivity is a major concern. And then we have places like France, where you have bans on Wi-Fi in elementary schools or preschools, as I recall. And then, with what's going on in California, first, especially beginning with smart meters and now this issue, it almost seems that, do you think California is maybe eventually going to lead the United States and, really bringing the nation along kicking and screaming in terms of becoming aware of the issues?
Well, I hope so, but it doesn't matter to me who takes the lead. We just really need progress on this issue desperately. People are dying. So whether it's California, Wisconsin, New York, it almost doesn't matter. We are so desperate for movement, we have accomplished, I guess, quite a bit, but other states are accomplishing things too. I just want to, you mentioned Wi-Fi, I just want to throw in there. I recently spoke at a school in LA. There are 15 teachers now that are requesting accommodation for hardwired classrooms from their Wi-Fi. 15 that are electrosensitive in one school. In one school.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's that's quite a lot. I mean, how would as something that I deal with that myself. I mean, how does someone bring that to someone's attention and get the appropriate paperwork that might accommodate for that?
Well, they tell their. I mean, I'm not a teacher, so I don't know the exact protocol for it. But these people have gone to OSHA about it. They've gone to, of course, their union. The union was there when I was there. When I was requested to go speak over there, there were 2 union reps and somebody repping the wireless and myself. And I basically was pushing the lawsuit angle, and that was getting these people at the school scared, the people that were in the administrative part, and I'm still hoping that they sue. These people have become permanently disabled, and 15 teachers. There were only 4 in the room at the time that wanted accommodation when I was there. That's now grown to 15. So how they go about doing it, since I'm not a teacher, I don't know the exact, order of, the chain of command, who you would contact, but I'm sure any teacher out there that is getting headaches or ill when they go in their classroom, or loss of energy, heart palpitations, bloody noses, any symptoms, or, kids are getting symptoms in the classroom, you might want to try turning the Wi-Fi off and seeing if you feel better. And you might also start, if you don't, if you do feel better, you'll know what's causing it, and you should start, the chain of how you go about getting an accommodation. And I'm sorry, I don't know what that is because I'm not a teacher, but I think they probably know, I think you have to go in front of some kind of board or something. I'm not really sure. There's some kind of board you speak in front of requesting it.
When you meet someone, especially like a person who doesn't know much about these types of issues, how and when is it appropriate to explain to them, the issues of electrosensitivity?
I don't think it's ever inappropriate. You should, if something is bothering you, say, hey, I can't stand here because the Wi-Fi hurts my head or whatever. For me, there is nothing inappropriate ever about it because it's such a real serious issue. So I don't know. I guess you just feel that out. If you're in a job interview, you'll know right away if you can even hack the job if they have Wi-Fi or whatever. But how do you know if it's appropriate? I guess you just feel it out. But I'm just the kind of person it's always at the forefront of my mind because I get so disabled around this stuff. So cordless phones even they hurt my ear and my head. So
Now, one of the things that I read in one of your recent newsletters, I'm actually really excited to read about and talk about is you mentioned that you're working to try to prove electrosensitivity exists in a court of law. And I think there was some information about some studies and some tests that are going on with that. If you could talk more about that.
Sure, yeah. Actually, that was who just called just now. That was Dr. Gunnar Hauser on the other line. He's the lead scientist in the study, and it's a functional MRI. You can actually show electrosensitivity on a functional MRI, which is huge. And this is something that I intend on taking to court as factual, scientific, hard evidence of electrosensitivity. So yeah, you can see it on an MRI.
And is that something that is happening as far as a study just more locally in California, or can someone outside of California
We've
participate?
actually talked about replicating the study on the East Coast or in the Midwest or wherever there's people that want to, because the more studies you have on this, the better. So right now it's in LA, and yeah, the facility that we have this with a special financial deal with for the study for the 10 participants. So that's here in Santa Monica, or around near where I live. But like I said, he would be willing to head that study up in any part of the country. We would like to actually replicate it, or he doesn't even have to head it. If there was somebody else that wanted to take it up, that would be fine. We do need more studies on electrosensitivity, so this would be an excellent one to replicate.
Has any studies like that been done in other countries, as far as of anything similar that we're trying to duplicate?
Actually, I just spoke with Dr. Lennart Hardell about a week ago, and he mentioned that Professor Belpom, and I don't know if you quote me on this, but he mentioned something about, I think he mentioned that he did something with a functional MRI, but it was kind of, I don't have clarity on it. I don't remember, so I can't swear up and down that Dr. Belpom had, but he had mentioned something about that. So I think it's possible that, yes, functional MRI and electrosensitivity has been at least explored, possibly by Professor Belpom, but I'm not sure about that.
That's good.
I know that PETs, these other type of scans, I think there's another scan. Dr. Heuser is the one that did the scans on the firefighters for the International Association of Firefighters Union. They talk about the neurological effects that these firefighters suffered when they were exposed to cell towers at their stations. And he was the one that did those studies. And those were some type of scan. I don't know if it was a PET scan or something, but he showed there was just some kind of neurological damage that he was able to show on that. But that study was never able to get published because the firefighters were concerned about job loss. So didn't want their names associated with anything. So he couldn't actually publish that study.
Mm-hmm. And moving into a slightly different issue, in regards to people that do have the issue of electrosensitivity, I think most of them have just been totally disgusted by the lack of options that there are out in terms of being able to completely eliminate that issue, or have the electromagnetic radiation, if you will, not be present. I mean, what is it going to take? Would it be more prudent to create places where electrosensitive people can function, places that are absent, from all this radiation in general, or is it, just more appropriate to reduce, overall, exposure as a society?
Well, probably both. I think reducing overall exposure as a society is where we have to go to preserve life on Earth, including human life. And there are places, but they're wanting to Wi-Fi the whole planet, and certainly FirstNet. Their goal is every square inch. FirstNet is
and Project Loon as well.
Yeah, that's Wi-Fiing the whole planet, or what is that?
Yeah, that's Google's project to Wi-Fi the whole planet as well.
So this becomes a problem when you're talking about an area that's not hit by that radiation. So I do think that this is going to have to be addressed on a global level, because they have ways of just everybody getting affected by one very wealthy person's decision or one governmental body's decision. So, yeah, I think it's going to have to be, society that takes action, and not just a tiny little pocket here or there. But in the meantime, to survive, certainly, people they moved to Green Bank, Virginia, or there's other places in the world that people have been congregating that doesn't have, heavy exposure.
Yeah, and unfortunately, with that whole global or at least national impact, certainly we've dealt with that, already in terms of the smart meter rollout. And not just in California now, but all across, the nation is something being involuntarily introduced into your own home, basically against your will, and we've seen the nationally, going against that as well.
Yeah, I know it's very disgusting. That is true. That has been introduced, involuntarily to people, not just here but all over the world. So yeah.
My own opinion is I think that ultimately that best place to start with this is with the children in the schools, because they are the most with where physiology is still developing in terms of their skull development, and I think if we see as things continue, I think that's going to be a particular subject that's going to be
Right.
perhaps more movable than some of the
definitely.
other ones.
Yeah. I remember the bill, the cell phone brain cancer bill. When I first brought it to Washington, I called it the Children's Wireless Protection Act, because my thought was, well, who wouldn't want to protect children? But evidently nobody wanted to protect children, so that bill didn't get picked up federally, but it did get picked up by a few states. But I agree with you that children are by far, and pregnant women they're the most vulnerable. Besides the immune compromised, the elderly, and people that have had a lot of prior exposure through X-rays or CAT scans. So children can be, grouped into that category. These other people as well. Everybody's kind of, vulnerable. But yeah, children are very vulnerable, and pregnant women especially. And it's quite disgusting that they're not being protected right now. Quite disgusting.
And what's tragic is that there's, in my own personal opinion, is that there's thousands, maybe even more than that, of people out there who have the symptoms of electrical sensitivity and are attributing it to something else, or don't even realize that they have it. They think that they're groggy. They went out over the weekend and their system is down or something like that. I mean, how do you educate them, to help them recognize, what might be really bothering them?
Well, that's an excellent question. It's one I ask almost daily, and I take it as I can. I mean, I educated my area here. We did a mass mailing to every single person in Topanga. We formed a group, Citizen for a Radiation-Free Community.org, and we did a mailing to over 8,000 people here, and then I would pass out flyers wherever I went like crazy, and I did a newsletter, and Facebook, everything. But I've also got a film, and I did legislation, and I'm suing. I organized a mass tort lawsuit against Edison and PG&E, which got thrown out. But I'm trying every single angle possible to about this, and I have a documentary now that I'm hoping will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and the cat will be out of the bag, and I'm hoping that millions and millions see this film. So,
can you tell us more about the documentary that you're talking about?
I don't like talking too much about things before they, are done, but basically it's really about the collusion between the government and the wireless industry to keep the health effects hidden from the public.
Yeah. That's great. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to be able to learn about these issues, and hopefully that'll receive mass attention.
I'm hoping, I'm hoping that, and it has to. I've tried so many things, and we really need to break through on a massive level. So I'm just hoping the film gets a lot of attention. I'm trying to make it as unique as I can and as fun and everything as I can, so that people will actually want to go see it, And people are in love with the technology, so we have to face that fact.
It's like global warming, or an inconvenient truth almost, in terms
Totally.
of the severity on a global scale of our knowledge, it has grown faster than our wisdom.
Yeah, I actually think it's worse, global warming, personally, because global warming doesn't necessarily kill you that fast, This stuff does. And global warming doesn't, hurt you immediately, physically. This stuff does.
Yeah, global warming is much more of a long-term
Yeah, I
evolutional,
mean, it's
problem
horrible,
than
but this
something.
stuff I think can kill people faster, and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
That's why it's really our favorite weapon now. So
Right, and that's what we're trying to do here. What we're hoping to do here with the EMF Action Network is we're hoping to have as many experts and different people on this program as much as possible on a regular basis so that you out there, listeners across the United States and across the world, will be able to hear more about these particular problems and concerns, do something, take action, and bring some serious change to these issues, if not just more awareness and real hope for electromagnetic sufferers around the world.
yeah, totally. Thank you. Um, yeah, and if anyone would like to receive my newsletter, you can call me.
Yeah, where can people
Yeah,
reach you? Yeah,
I
great.
have an email, contact at thepeoplesinitiative.org, contact at thepeoplesinitiative.org, or 310-281-9639, and just leave a message there, and I'll call you back. I don't have caller ID there, so just leave your phone number. That is, if you don't get an email back from me. A lot of time my emails get blocked and stuff by our buddies in the wireless industry and or government. So if you don't hear back from me, it's just because I didn't get your email. So feel free to leave me a message, and I would love to add you to my newsletter and keep you posted on the film when it comes out and all that stuff. Wherever you are in the United States or world, if you need help, I'm always into helping people work on this issue and organize in their area and get the word out. We have flyers you can download so you can totally make it your own and put your own contact info on there and everything on citizensforaradiationfreecommunity.org. Just download a couple of cell tower flyers on there, and I can email you the smart meter flyer, and all of them are in .doc, so you can just localize it. And and I've got another site, stopsmartgrid.org, that has an excellent paper that a whole bunch of us worked on. We have a citizens lobbying group that went to the federal reps in Washington last year on this issue. So there's a great paper you could check out for info on this. It's on the homepage there.
Great. Sounds good. Great. Well, thank you, Liz, so much for being with us here today on the program.
Mark. Thanks for doing this, and I wish you luck with this endeavor, and may you reach a lot of people and help a lot of people,
All right, great. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And that was Liz Barris with the People's Initiative. Thank you so much again for listening to our program here today, the official podcast on the EMF Action Network. We will be with you again soon for more installments and podcasts as we work together to bring more awareness on all issues concerning EMF. Thank you again to Liz Barris of the People's Initiative. Again, stay tuned for more podcasts, and may your shadow fall on pleasant places. Have a great day.